Oh, I'm so thrilled to be speaking to Sarah, who is currently in Sweden and has become a very, very deep, close friend of mine. And we met 2 years ago this month. So it's actually timeless. We met on the 1st of August, 2023, when Sarah signed up to the 21-day presence program and made a decision in her mind that she was just going to show up.
But
And
Mandy, shouldn't I tell the funny story of how before we met, how I knew that this was going to be something was
Yes, maybe you should because just to caveat that Sarah didn't actually share what she is going to share now to anybody or to me until we finally met.
mm,
So yes, go ahead,
yeah.
share
So I
that bit.
saw about, I think it was in a newsletter, a yoga newsletter. I heard about this and I thought, wow, 21 days for that price. Let's try it. I mean, could use a container to reboot my meditation practice. And um, I, signed up, signed up, paid the price, and then was waiting. It was going to be in a few weeks. And then I got a message from my bank that my account had been hacked and that something along the lines of 15,000 euros had been taken from my account. And it was all connected to this one payment I had done. And my bank got all the money back. But instead of being worried, I thought there's something going on here. There's something big for me. And that to me was the point of like intentionality and storytelling of how my partner and my friends were like, oh my God, this is terrible. And I thought, no, this is some sort of message because the bank got all the money back, but there's something in this. And I decided off of that to make it something for myself. And then showing up every day and deciding that it was going to do things for me. It did the things then. I just had come with that decision that this is big. This is worth 15,000 euros. And,
It's
and so
priceless, actually.
it's
Well, it
priceless.
was priceless in the end
It
because
was
that's
fun.
a yeah. I mean, it's a 21-day live container. So although there are many modalities out there, up to this point now, I've kept it live so that although we're part of this new timeline of AI and we have this extraordinary ability to connect with everybody all over the world, there's something very special actually because we're upgrading. We're really upgrading in terms of coming into a clearer connection and understanding of our relationship to ourselves as energy. So this live container is us in real time, all, as you say, logging on, coming online, and um, being guided by a practitioner in a 30-minute session of
Yeah, and
stillness, of presence.
breathing together. I think there is
But you're
something
breathing
so,
together.
you're not sitting in the same room, but the way that our lives are now, if you're busy and how, I mean, to take yourself to a space with people, to be able to be with yourself that much,
Mm.
would be, I mean, it would be like a full-time job. So, but for me to be able to fit it in and know that others were also sitting in their stillness and were listening to this one voice, it gave me a sense of community. It gave me a sense of something bigger than myself that was going on. And it didn't need to be that every single process or this people took me through was so mind-blowing for me, or some of them were really like wow, new
Mm.
methodologies that I was able to add to my toolbox. But some of them, it was just about being there and being held and witnessing somebody's process that they'd come across and meeting myself and being held and like, let's meet yourself like this through breathing or through visualization or through some movement or through chanting, or I mean, you get to try
Mm.
everything and really authentic. I mean, these,
Mm.
to me, it was practitioners who'd all been doing it for a while. And there's something about that's like it was deep in them. It didn't feel like trendy jumping in and out. It was people that were really embedded in their own practices.
Mm.
And from that, their cup overfloweth, they were able to pass it on. And I could really feel that being a learned meditator and spiritual seeker forever, and now half a century old, I can smell when people are just dipping a toe in and then wanting to pass it on. There wasn't any of that. There was a real authenticity. And I think because it was also so cheap and people were, all these people were offering their craft and their time, it made it something, I don't know, there was something really meaningful for me. And it really shifted the dial for me in remembering how big change can come from small, just small little things in a day. Like every morning I'm getting up and being with myself first, and not me having to weed through, should I do this? Should I do that? There's so much content out there. It was like the 21
This,
day presence course was like a curatorial force. Like, here, these are all going to be high quality. You can just sort of sample different ways, but show up every day and you will be held. You will be offered a space to be with you. Uninterrupted. So
I
that's,
think that that's so beautiful, and the big, I guess the big inspiration listening to you now, because I'm keep sort of going back my why, because I just love this, you know, I'm so inspired by it, and there are many whys, but I guess the original inspiration was having had a very inconsistent meditation practice for so many years. And then arriving at a point where I started to show up for myself and started to see that actually the key was consistency. I was like, wow, if I could bring us all together, if there was this container in which we could all meet and have a flavor for a period of time, because I know that it takes about 21, they say 3, 6, 36, 3 weeks to break a habit, 6 weeks to create a new habit, 36 weeks to entrench a new habit. Going daily every day for 20 days, well, 21 days is that initiation. It's that self-initiation. And through that 21 days, you will be able to see a difference. And the difference isn't in the sessions. That's the thing that it's a big reminder. It's not about the actual sessions themselves. It's how you experience yourself in the day as a result of them.
why did you decide to do morning and evening and not just like morning for 21 days?
So the initiation of that was really from the Chopra group. I had studied with the foundation, and it's very much of a Vipassana, also connected to the Vipassana teachings that I'd done, and noticing that when I had practiced the twice a day, you add another dimension to your day. So you have this morning, and it's the way you enter the world. It's how you are as a result of that morning. I start and end with myself. And then you go into the day, you have that day as a result of just anchoring and that initiation, that remembrance of coming back to center, holding center. You go through the day, day just does what it does for everybody. And then you have this pause once again. And what I noticed is that second pause, it's not a prerequisite. You don't have to do this on the 21-day present program. It is available. But wow, it just adds another whole dimension to your evening. It's beautiful. And it's actually preferable not to meditate just before you go to sleep. So actually, we're having this session around 6:30 in the evening, which means that you've got your whole evening to complete. And a lot of people are still at work. You know, we have people coming on live in their office, in their cars, and life carries on, but you have this commitment and this intention to offer yourself this momentary pause, and it's beautiful, and you're supported, you're held.
Yeah, that's something that you reminded me too, is that it was also a practice for me of throwing away this concept of perfectionism, that I'd have to sit on a beautiful cushion and with a candle and everyone's gone away and I'm Om Shanti. It was like there were times when I was sitting in my car outside the grocery store, or that I just dropped off the kids and ran in, or like even sitting in a bathroom, or like, it didn't matter. It was just saying, I'm here, and like life is happening and it's quickening for all of us. And to be waiting for the moment, like, oh, it's going to be better in December when I finish that project, or it's going to be better when the kids, or when it's going to be that, if only, that always pausing to instead say, here I am, I'm in the process of moving, I'm living in a foreign country, we don't know shit from the wall right now. I mean, the internet was super patchy where I was living, like really patchy.
Mm.
We were living in a really small place. So me getting up early was risking waking everybody up. But I just sat down with them and said, I'm going to get up and do this. So when you hear me, you just go back to sleep. I mean, it was, and I just, there was something of not waiting for perfect where I learned about perfect is that it's available like in every moment, and life, it wasn't like difficult once I decided. So that you say that people are sitting in their cars and there's no shame. It's not like, oh, I'm not in the, some people were sitting in the lotus position in their meditation suite, but most people were just showing up in their
Just
off.
showing up as you are. I mean, just showing up. And I mean, it's so funny because the two things that you're bringing up. The one being this other side thing that happens is that as a result of making a choice and being intentional about something that you're going to do consistently, a few other things do need to change. And that's beautiful because there are a lot of things that possibly might have always been much better had you changed them irrespective. So one of the things for me as an example was I had to say to my daughters, this is what I'm doing. And obviously hosting it, I have to be up earlier and I want to prepare the space and I want to be present, fully present. So we had to change our morning routine. We had to change our evening routine. We had to say, you girls are going to have to start making your own lunches. And some of the parents, I've spoken to people like, really? Your children make answers like, yeah, well, they had to. I can't do it all. I can't be everything to everyone all the time. So those were like all these little adjustments. Am I going to just go to bed, super late, or am I going to have to start shifting my evening routine? So
And
that's the
everyone
one.
benefited from it.
And
I mean, that's
everybody becomes a beneficiary. Everyone does. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. The kind of ability to make things work. We create the barriers of our own kind of movements. And it's all available. It's actually all available. And the other thing that I learned recently, Sarah, which is such a lovely liberating new thing, this concept of perfect and the notion that there is this perfect. And I learned something very fun and interesting, and that is that the origin of perfect is Greek and is a verb. So when we consider perfect, we always consider it in its static form. It's complete. We've arrived. We're at the, as you say, sitting on this cushion in our Zen state. When in fact, perfect is a verb. It's a doing word. And what it really means is moving through something. So perfect is just to show up and keep moving through. That's what perfect really means. Wow. And that's like so cool. That's it.
is
Just
that
showing up.
we move our way to perfect. It doesn't arrive and then we arrive in and no. And that really was a learning to me, is like, there isn't an if only, there isn't a better time ever. There's only this present tense. And it's the presence practice of coming into the presence and recognizing the perfection that has been waiting to be witnessed. If only we would arrive into it. And that was the thing, just like, wow, on one level, everything is perfect always. And when we're moving so quickly and trying to organize everything into some notion, we miss it. And for me saying, I'm gonna show up, activating my inner stubbornness, which I don't have much of. So to be like, I'm gonna show up twice a day. Perfect was like, perfect.
Yeah, that's it.
All
And you know what? It is very, very simple. It's not always easy.
yeah.
It's simple. It's not complicated, but it isn't easy. And there are all these different stories that we create. And the beauty about this particular space, and I thank you for saying that, because there is this authenticity, there is this love, there is this genuine desire to see as many of us having the space which has been created, co-created. There are the most incredible practitioners coming through, and I'm so excited, particularly this year. There's just amazing, amazing people with so much wisdom and so many beautiful transmissions to be shared in this space. And of course, if you can't do the live, there are the recordings, and you'll absolutely receive. But the invitation, of course, is this opportunity to intend, to sign up, to join, and to show up as best as you can. And that's it. And because of the nature of what it is, you just get to meet who you are. There's no expectation, not from me, not from the group, not from anybody, and there shouldn't be for yourself. There's just that intention, and you're able to be able to apply that as best as you can and as best as you know how.
And for me, I mean, I had already been a meditator, but I think a lot of people are quite freaked out by that terminology or don't feel like they've gotten the invitation to enter the room. So I would want to address that in this, is that there were people on the calls and asking questions, like real basic questions, people who'd never meditated before. And it was so refreshing and so wonderful to remember that it meets you wherever you are. And everyone, there was no practice that was offered that was like, oh crap, you would only be able to get this if you'd done a lot of work before. It was like met everybody wherever they were. And I think that's really important for people. It really is like a beginner's level, and meet you wherever you are level. Like for me, it was rebooting my practice, or reminding myself what it is to show up for things. And for other people, it was like, what is this meditating business all about? And getting to try so many different methodologies then and go, oh, wow, maybe I'm just into like breath work or Vipassana. I mean, you get to try it all and just demystify it, because it is, like you say, so simple. Meditation is just like, stop, be quiet, breathe. That's it.
And observe.
Observe.
Because the invitation of observing means that if you've got this crazy monkey mind going on and there's a million thoughts, which everybody has, and that's part of the demystifying, ultimately what we're doing, and you start to get to experience it in hopefully incremental pieces, is the space between the thoughts, that little bit more space, a little bit more space, a little bit more space. It doesn't mean that everything stops internally, but you get to observe what really is going on, and you get to meet yourself exactly as you truly are. And it's a cultivation of non-judgment. That's a big part of it for me, huge. Letting go of all the expectations of where I should be or where I'm not, and just go, oh, this is where I am. Okay, this is
And
where I am.
sometimes even just recognizing that there are a bunch of thoughts that there is constantly going on. I mean, just that's okay. It's not a meditation, isn't that we sit in an empty state and complete Zen. It is sometimes just being able to sit with the fact that there's noise going on constantly. And then we all have that. That we all have an inner narrator, and just sitting with that and going, okay, I'm listening. I'm listening.
And what I want to bring into this conversation as my one of the things that's definitely come up for this year particularly is the shifting into the somatic. And that is this real deeper recognition of the feeling body. Not our emotional body, but our feeling body. And to be able to recognize ourselves as human through that place. Because
So when you say the feeling body, how would you simplify that? Like, what if it's not the emotion? There's many different bodies that
there's multiple bodies we have. And so ultimately, when we come into these places of stillness, it's about bringing all these bodies back to center. It's almost coming home, coming inward. And then being able to be present with the body itself, what you're feeling, and to observe. We do that through the breath often. The breath is a facilitator and a bridge, and we cannot breathe and think at the same time. But our ability to really tap into spaciousness, to have this recognition of movement, the movement that's internally happening all the time. And then to simply just be present or presence oneself to it. And that's guided, that's guided. But for me, it's been very much this observing and cultivating this curiosity, just the curiosity, just that openness to see what's going on. There's contractions in my body. There's tightness. There's
or even to
release.
feel, wow, my head hurts a bit. I think that not to reach this sort of, I think it's something that might have scared me away in the past, was to reach this Zen state, or, oh, my body is at peace. But sometimes to be like, wow, my right hip hurts.
Mm.
I wonder
What's
what
that?
that's all about.
Mm.
And
How
just to,
does that feel? Mm. And not needing to know the why, not needing to deconstruct it or have an answer for it. And to connect with that from a deeper place. And we're living in unprecedented, I mean, we always say unprecedented times. We're living in really wild, big times. And there's a huge magnification of everything. Everything feels magnified. Everything feels very intense for everybody. And so having something that can just draw you back, because there is that still point. And it's not something that you have to cultivate. It's something that's actually always there. You just have to know how to meet it. It's that returning back to that still space, so that when everything is going crazy and moving around in every direction, you have a way, a means to return back. And so for 21 days, you get to be in that cycle of, oh yes. And then, because we keep forgetting, it's the most extraordinary thing that we're here really in an attempt to remember. And this is part of what the 21 days is about. It's remembering, 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 and then having the 3D tools, the waking up and going to sleep and doing that on all these different levels of ourselves.
yeah, and that it's not about adding something to your life. And
Yeah.
it's for me, it's about subtracting something. So you're peeling away to go, like you say, it's within each of us that the answers, and we've heard it all before, you know, the answers are within. But to really feel that it's not about mastering something or getting more information, it's about slowing things down, stripping things away just for 30 minutes is a huge amount of time. And just listening, observing with different ears and different eyes, and not just on your own. Because even me, I can admit, being an experienced spiritual person, I have a lot of trouble meditating on my own. And doing yoga on my own. I like to be guided because I can go to a different place in myself when I don't have to lead myself in those moments. And I know a lot of people are like this. So to be held and just said, okay, now there's nothing else you need to do. There's nowhere else you need to be. Um, it's like the sediment can land and you're like, oh, none of that is really needed. Wow, now I can see the water clearer. And so it isn't about, oh, I need more of this, I need more of that, I should do more of this, I should learn that, I should be the master. And no, it's about, and the great thing I found with the 21 days is you get a taste of all the different tools and methodologies that have been discovered over time, and new people that are really in the cutting edge of their fields excited about this stuff and want to share it. So you can just say, oh, that's interesting, not so interesting. Okay. And then maybe you follow them in the future if you're like me who wants to be led. So
There's so many beautiful gifts that come from each one of these teachers. So they all have their own practices, and their practices are not in what they're offering for our 21 days. They're much wider and deeper. So there's an introduction. You're meeting a potential future teacher for yourself, which is also wonderful. And to really say once again that you're not having to work anything out, as you say, and that's part of the somatic. You don't get to work it out, you feel into it. And so having a little bit of space to just pause and to hold and connect to that still point within yourself in a guided environment. What I've experienced myself is so much more efficiency, so much more clarity, a lot more ease, a lot more flow in my life. I'm not pushing and trying to control, which I know that I can't, but rather just observing, pausing, and then allowing. That allowance has been a huge part. All of these things have definitely come from the practice of stillness. I say stillness and not meditation because as you said, you know, a lot of people have this thing around, oh, meditation, but it's a stillness practice. And so, yes, I'm so excited to have you again joining us as you have, and the inspiration and the guidance and the feedback that you always give is just so beautiful. So I
and
always
I
thank
love
you
how
so
life
much.
I love in our call, even there's, you know, I've come to this space where I'm gonna have this conversation with you and it's gonna be nice and quiet. And someone's decided to absolutely weed whack like crazy
We
outside.
can't hear it. No, we
You
can't
can't,
hear it.
but
That's no, it's so
it's so
funny.
interesting. I've been thinking, and
The
then I'm,
noise never stops. The noise doesn't stop. So you've got to be able to. So to complete our story for everyone who hasn't met us before, we met online 2 years ago. And Sarah was one of those people who would write in a message after each session of what she'd experienced or just a little share or something. And it was incredible and it was so beautiful. So I was always so grateful to get your messages and just a bit of feedback. So that was the best. But at the end of the 21 days, Sarah had my contact number and she messaged me and she said, Mandy, I would love for us to meet each other. I think, after spending 3 weeks with someone every day, twice a day, I feel like we know each other. We know each other very well, but we don't, so I think we've got to meet in the flesh. And I said, fantastic. And of course, at that time, Sarah was living in South Africa. And so I said, well, one thing I can say is that if there's good intentions, and this is all about being intentional, if we do not meet in the next immediate future, like next 5 days, it's never going to happen. With all the best intentions in the world, life is moving so fast. So we pulled it together in about 3 or 4 days after
yeah, and
the
life
end.
was busy. Like I said, I was moving and you had your busy schedule. I mean, at once you finished with that and you were like, oh, I don't know normally. And I remember we really forced it. Like life
We
is
made it happen.
going
You
to keep
make it happen.
happening. And
And then that was it. And it's just connecting with another soul sister. It's just been an absolute joy, a very, very dear friend. Lots and lots of experiences have followed and have been interwoven in that space between. And so I just want to say thank you for sharing to everybody else some of the experiences you've had, because they're so valuable. And I'm hoping that a lot of people will listen to this, and wherever there has been any resistance, or if there is any resistance, they'll just kind of go, you know what, put that aside. There's something so much greater to be gained, and to just come in and play.
And then if you can't do the live, there's no
There's
like
the recordings.
judgment. That was the thing. You weren't watching. There was no like marking who was there and who wasn't. It was, some people just came in live, I think for 2-3 sessions. There was no judgment. It was just like, come as you are. So yeah. And I would
I love
also
it.
urge people, if there's a barrier of anything, time or money, to just get in touch with you. Mandy.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely. I'm
more
available, I'm accessible, and we want to support each and every person who has some small impulse, no matter how small it is. If it's big, then you just sign up. But if it's a small impulse and you just need that little extra bit of encouragement, make contact, because we'd love to open the space to as many people, because we know that there is an extraordinary power in us coming together. And this is what this is all about, is coming together, and the energy created in this container is palpable. And so we want as many people to have a taste and an experience of that. Yeah. Thank you so much, Sarah. I love you.
Thank you, Mandy. I love you. And
And
hail to imperfection and just meeting ourselves in community.
and presence.
Yeah.